When you reach for your phone the second it pings, do you actually know what is happening to your mind? Most people think they do. They think it is just a notification, a text, an update, something helpful, something harmless. But here's the thing, that ping is not a friendly tap on the shoulder. It is a breach, a small, silent breach of the most important territory you own, your attention. And every time you respond without thinking, you are handing over the keys to your inner fortress to something that does not care about you. It does not care about your goals, your peace, or your potential. It only cares about one thing, keeping you engaged, keeping you scrolling, keeping you obedient. And the worst part is, you have been trained to think this is normal, but it is not. And by the way, there is one specific trick, a focus reversal used by some of the most powerful figures in history that flips this entire dynamic on its head. We will get into exactly how that works at the end. But first, you need to understand the system that has been built around you. Because once you see it, you can never unsee it. Let us start with the first trick, and it might be the most important one. It is called the sovereignty breach. Most people think of their phone as a tool, something they use when they want to. End of story. But here's what most people do not realize. You are not using it when you want to. You are using it when it tells you to. Every notification is a command disguised as a convenience. Every buzz is a summons dressed up as a service. Think about what happens. Your phone makes a sound. Your hand moves before your brain even decides to pick it up. You unlock it, you check, and 9 times out of 10, it was nothing important. But the damage is already done. Your train of thought is broken. Your focus is shattered. Your sovereignty has been breached. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private journals that a person should waste no more time arguing about what a good person should be and simply be one. The same applies here. Stop arguing with yourself about whether you need to check your phone. Simply do not check it. Treat every uninvited ping as a hostile knock at the gate of your mind, because that is exactly what it is. If you answer every knock, you have no walls. If you have no walls, you have no kingdom. And if you have no kingdom, you have no power. The second trick is called the 3-second friction rule. This one is devastatingly simple, and that is what makes it so effective. Right now, your phone is probably within arm's reach. Maybe it is in your hand. Maybe it is on the desk next to you. Maybe it is on your chest while you watch this. That closeness is not an accident. It is engineered. The easier it is to reach, the faster you check. The faster you check, the more data they collect. The more data they collect, the better they get at pulling you back. So here's the trick. Move it. Put it in another room, put it in a drawer, put it anywhere that requires you to physically stand up and walk to get it. That 3 seconds of friction is all it takes to break the automatic loop. Researchers studying habit disruption found that even small increases in effort dramatically reduce the frequency of unconscious behaviors. You do not need superhuman willpower. You just need 3 seconds of inconvenience. Seneca once warned that we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. You imagine you will miss something urgent. You imagine the world will collapse if you do not respond instantly, but it will not. It never does. The suffering is in your head. The phone is just the trigger. The third trick is what I call the digital gatekeeper. Right now, you are a passive consumer. Every app on your phone has open access to your attention, your time, and your emotional energy. You did not choose this. You accepted it. You downloaded an app, hit allow notifications, and never thought about it again. But here's the thing. That one careless tap gave a corporation a permanent seat at the table of your mind. So become the gatekeeper. Go through every single app on your phone. Ask one question. Does this app serve my life, or does it feed off my life? If it feeds, delete it. If it serves but distracts, turn off its notifications. If it truly serves and respects your attention, keep it. This is not about becoming a monk. This is about becoming a king. A king does not let every merchant, beggar, and spy walk freely through the palace. A king audits who gets access. Epictetus taught that it is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Reacting starts with what you allow through the gates. Control the gates. Control the reaction, control your life. And hey, if this is making you see your daily habits differently right now, hit that like button and subscribe. It is the best way to help us reach more people who actually want to understand the psychology behind their own behavior instead of being controlled by it. Now the fourth trick, this one goes deeper. It is called the discipline of assent. The Stoics believe that between every event and your response, there is a gap, a tiny space where you get to choose. A notification arrives. That is the event. But before you react, before your hand moves, before your thumb swipes, there is a moment, barely a heartbeat long, where your mind asks, should I engage with this? Most people never notice that gap. They have been conditioned to skip right over it. The ping happens, and they respond like a reflex. No thought, no choice. Just automatic obedience. But the discipline of assent means training yourself to live in that gap, to pause, to ask, do I agree with this impulse or do I reject it? This is not some abstract philosophy. This is the most practical skill you will ever learn. Marcus Aurelius practiced this every single day of his reign. He did not react to insults, crises, or provocations without first passing them. Through his own judgment, generals brought him news of war. Senators tried to provoke him into rash decisions. The noise of an entire empire pressed against him daily, and still, he paused. If the Emperor of Rome could pause before reacting to a military threat on his border, you can pause before reacting to a text message from someone who could have waited. If you react without thinking, you are a slave to the stimulus. If you pause and choose, you are the master of your own mind. If you practice this daily, within weeks, the gap gets wider. And the wider it gets, the more power you hold. The fifth trick is called premeditatio malorum, and it is one of the most underused weapons in the Stoic arsenal. It means the premeditation of evils. Every morning, before you start your day, before you check a single message or open a single app, sit for 2 minutes and ask yourself, what will try to steal my focus today? Name it. Be specific. Maybe it is social media pulling you into comparison. Maybe it is a coworker who drains your energy with problems that are not yours to solve. Maybe it is the news cycle pulling you into outrage about things you cannot control. Maybe it is your own restlessness, that nagging feeling that you should be doing something, anything other than sitting still. By naming the threat before it arrives, you strip it of its power. You are no longer ambushed. You are prepared. You have already met the enemy in your mind, and when it shows up in real life, it feels familiar. It feels smaller. Seneca practiced this daily. He would begin each morning by imagining the worst that could happen, not to be pessimistic, but to be unshakable. When you've already faced the distraction in your mind, the real thing loses its teeth. Here's what most people do not realize. The reason distractions win is not because they are strong. It is because you are unprepared. You walk into the day with no plan for your attention, and then you wonder why everyone and everything else claims it first. Preparation is not paranoia. It is sovereignty. The sixth trick is the attention audit. At the end of every day before you go to sleep, ask yourself one honest question. Where did my focus actually go today? Not where you planned it to go. Not where you told yourself it went. Where it actually went. Most people have never done this exercise. Not once in their entire lives. They assume they spent their day working, thinking, creating, being present with the people they love. But if they tracked it honestly, minute by minute, they would find that hours vanished into feeds, threads, comment sections, and rabbit holes they never intended to enter. hours they will never get back. Think about that for a second. You are living a life you did not design. Your days are being shaped by algorithms, not by your own intentions. Your hours are being allocated by engineers in offices you will never see, building systems you will never fully understand. Epictetus taught that we are disturbed not by things, but by our judgments about things. If you judge your scrolling as harmless, it will consume you. If you judge it honestly, as a thief of your one irreplaceable resource, you will fight it. The audit is not about guilt. It is about clarity. And clarity is the first step to reclaiming what is yours. Now, the seventh trick. This is the focus reversal I mentioned at the beginning. This is what I mentioned earlier, and it is something everyone needs to understand. Throughout history, the most powerful leaders, thinkers, and strategists did not try to eliminate distractions. They reversed the equation entirely. Instead of running from noise, they built lives that made noise irrelevant. Marcus Aurelius did not hide from the chaos of Rome. He sat in the middle of it and wrote his Meditations. Seneca did not flee from politics. He navigated it while maintaining an inner stillness that no external force could touch. The reversal is this. Stop trying to block out the world. Instead, build an inner world so strong, so rooted, so clear, that the outer world loses its grip on you. This is not about deleting apps or moving phones. Those are tactics. This is the strategy. This is the foundation everything else rests on. Most people try to fix their focus by changing their environment. That works for a week, maybe two. Then, the old patterns flood back worse than before because the foundation was never changed. But when you change the inner architecture, when you build a mind that chooses its own weather regardless of the storm outside, the environment stops mattering. You could hand Marcus Aurelius a smartphone and he would set it down. Not because he lacked curiosity, but because his inner world was already more interesting, more demanding, and more alive than anything a screen could offer. That is the reversal. Build something inside yourself that the outside world cannot compete with. Sometimes people lose focus because they are reacting to external pressure. Other times, it is because they are avoiding something painful inside themselves, a truth they do not want to face, a decision they do not want to make. And sometimes, it is the most dangerous kind. It is a slow, invisible erosion that has been happening for so long, they have forgotten what sharpness even feels like. They mistake the fog for clarity. They mistake distraction for productivity. They mistake noise for connection. Have you noticed that you have become more reactive and less thoughtful lately? That you respond faster but think slower? That you consume more but create less? That shift did not happen by accident. It was engineered, one notification at a time, one scroll at a time, one surrendered moment at a time. Your entire relationship with your own mind has been quietly, patiently rewritten. And most people do not even notice because the rewrite happened so gradually it felt like growing up. It felt like the natural way things go. But it was not growing up. It was giving up. Giving up your attention. Giving up your sovereignty. Giving up the one thing that separates a person who lives with intention from a person who just exists. Ever had a week where everything felt foggy and you noticed your screen time doubled? That is not a coincidence. The algorithms learn your patterns. When you are tired, you scroll longer. When you are anxious, you engage more. When you are lonely, you click faster. They do not know your name, but they know your weakness. And that is when the noise hits hardest. And here's where it gets even deeper. Every day you spend plugged in without intention is another day the system learns what breaks you. It is studying your rhythms. It is mapping your emotional landscape. And when something shifts, when your guard drops, when you are at your lowest, it notices. It always notices. The Stoic response to all of this is not anger. It is not fear. It is not even resistance. it is something far more powerful. It is choice. Epictetus taught that no person is free who is not master of themselves. Freedom does not come from blocking the world out. It comes from choosing what you let in. Every morning you wake up, you have a decision. Will you pick up your phone and hand your first conscious moments to a machine? Or will you sit with yourself, name your threats, audit your gates, and decide with full sovereignty how your day will unfold? The answer to that question is not just about productivity. It is about who you are. It is about whether you are a person who lives deliberately or a person who is lived by their habits. The walls of your mind are yours to build. The gates are yours to guard. The kingdom is yours to rule. But only if you choose it every single day, not once, not when it is convenient, not when motivation strikes. Every single day with the same quiet discipline that built empires and outlasted centuries. It was never accidental to them. And it should not be accidental to you either.